eBay's made some changes, some announcements. Are they a bad sign heading into what will probably be eBay's spring 2022 update? Hey, it's Don. I wanted to point out a few things that are going on. Obviously, spring starts the 20th of this month, and as everybody knows, eBay does have a spring update, so we will see some changes. They've alluded to it. They've made some announcements, especially with Investors Day. I'm also going to show you some posts and some things that they've been changing close by us that could affect what they could do with the U.S. platform as well. Now, if you're unaware, you don't follow what's going on in overall news on eBay, eBay Canada, the Canadian eBay site, used to give everybody 100,000 listings extra for free, just like they included on your options with some of the store levels here in the U.S. They coincided with the same time frame when they were offering them to us so that we would jump ball and get into the managed payments aspect. So again, they added some additional ones on so everybody would hop and jump into managed payments thinking they were going to get all these free listings. Well, in Canada, as of the 9th of this month, just a few days ago, they have rescinded all of those 100,000 free listings and are just dropping it back down to the normal levels. Now, they're stating they've increased them, but what they have done is basically matched what the U.S. site would be without the new ZIFs that they are giving us because of managed payments. This is actually a copy of my listing page, and as you can see at the top, it says Anchor Store Subscription. 25,000 fixed price listings. And they've also, again, as I said, they've added some on when you signed up for managed payments. I don't know anywhere that it states that those are permanent. The same thing with the Canadian ones when they added on and extended the actual 100,000 free listings. My concern is an email and some other messages that I've personally received in regard to this related to the Canadian issue. And here's just one of the ones that I received here. This goes into a phone call that someone I've dealt with and talked to for over 3 years had with eBay. So right here it says, I called eBay to verify and they acknowledged that both Canada, I am in Canada, and the U.S. is affected by this change. So now this is hitting people in Canada, meaning that they're going to have to pay a bigger fee. Either they'll have to up the level of their store or they'll have to pay individual listing fees above and beyond what is included with their store. So with an Anchor store, they're getting the same 25,000 I have. In the past, we used to get 10,000 and we were billed for 15, 20,000 extra. So many cents per listing over what was free for our store. So now that's what's happening in here. Now I received another comment relating to the exact same thing, that somebody was told from Canada that it's going to be the same policy over here in the US. Again, related to the amount of free listings that we will no longer get. Can't confirm that. I'm just going by what we've been shown by several people who do not know each other. I actually reached out to somebody from Canada and asked them, somebody I've talked to for many, many years. Canada is less than an hour from my house. We can be in Windsor in like 45 minutes on a good day. I do have my passport card, so I'm able to go over the border whenever I want. So I do talk to people from Canada quite often, ask them to reach out to eBay. From their conversation, it sounds like this is the case. Again, it could be some misconception or something like that. Now, I wanted to get to the bottom of this. I already heard it from a couple people that this was what they were told from the Canadian side. So I actually picked up the phone and I called myself to our Anchor Store concierge support phone service and talked to someone. Very nice. They were very pleasant. I wanted an answer on this. I explained what I was told. I explained that I had some screenshots. I have a few other ones as well from people who are stating this. But the point is, at the end of the day, they could not confirm nor deny that that is going to happen. Obviously, if they haven't announced the release for whatever the new update is, they're not going to announce it or want anybody to have that information. I understand how that works. So, again, that's my answer from eBay, was they wouldn't deny it and they wouldn't confirm it. Who knows what's going to happen at that point. Now, in my personal conversation with the eBay rep, they stated that obviously they couldn't instigate something because it was less than so many days apart. Well, apparently they're not up on the actual changes for fees and stuff. eBay only has to give us a 14-day notice, which is stated right here straight from the user agreement. It says right up here, we may change our selling fees from time to time by posting the changes on the site 14 days in advance. If it's going to save you money, they don't have to. They can just do it immediately. So they don't have to do it right away. It could be up in the future. You've got spring all the way up till June 21st. So if it is going to be the spring update like they did last year and on, it could be announced at any point after the 20th of March all the way up to June 21st. So we are a little hesitant on what our plans were. My whole point on calling eBay was to get clarification so I can judge what I need to do with my business. They've gotten a little bad with how soon they announce changes, so that they don't give us a lot of time to decide on what we're going to do. I've had a lot of big plans in the works. If they keep changing stuff, it's hard to make any firm set plans to keep my business going in a direction that I want, whether it's on eBay or somewhere else. This is, again, kind of discouraging that they could actually take away a lot of those free listings. As you saw, the listings are separated by how they represent them in your store. So as you see here in my breakdown on my store, it says Anchor Store subscription $25,000. The others are just additional. It doesn't say they're included. It doesn't say anything. They were marketed as ZIFs. Added in if you signed up for managed payments. Everybody's on managed payments now, so maybe to them it may be something they would remove. Again, it would be a terrible decision. Everything they've been doing lately is just adding on fees to begin with, so I could see them honestly removing these extra 75,000 listings that I have right here. Now, I would also point you to look at the eBay Investor Day information on eBay. I'll have a link to this page down below as well, so you can take a look at it. It has some on-demand web videos that you can watch as well. It's got some basic information. But what I found interesting was some of the breakdown sheets that they have down here. This is the path to sustainability growth at scale. So they're pushing to grow what they already have at scale, which, again, I don't know how you can mark a scale and grow at scale selling baseball cards and things that are oddball one-offs like they're kind of preaching here. My opinion, I've talked about before, there's a bubble in a lot of these sorts of collectibles which could burst at any point with the economy going the way it is. So them putting all of their eggs in just a very few small baskets of high-end, high-dollar items is very, 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 very risky. So I don't have much faith in what they're doing other than them telling us on how much they're going to make from increasing fees to us on every single announcement that they do. They're only going after these categories basically because they make them $10 billion, or at least there's $10 billion in sales is what they're stating. I know it says collectibles, but it's very specific baseball cards. They'll be going after comics just as heavily from the way it looks too. Now, this is a PR statement. Everything on the Investment Day page are PR, promotional stuff. Like this one here, eBay is far larger than its vertical competitors. Unfortunately, that's not an honest representation because eBay's vertical competitors would be Amazon, which is their number one competitor, and now Shopify, which is the number two competitor. eBay is number 3 past those two. So at this point, it sounds like they've just totally given up on the Shopify challenge or Amazon in general because they're acting like they don't even exist in here. Now, if you look at this, some folks won't even know what some of these other platforms are. Wayfair, I know most of these. Farfetch, I'm not very familiar with. I've heard the name, but that's about it. You've got Overstock. They're not including stuff that would show them in a bad light. This is all basically PR work here. So this scares me that they're not even looking at the biggest dominating factor in the entire field when they're deciding on what they're going to do. From some of their numbers, too, this is actually even scarier to me. Again, they're not including Amazon, their biggest competitor. Walmart's not even on here, and you can sell on Walmart as a third party. Walmart has significant revenue, probably higher than most of these other ones here. The CEO is from Walmart, as are some of his buddies he's brought in to, I guess, ruin the company, in my opinion. But now if you look at this, this is operating margins. This kind of breaks down to how much profit, how much they take out of their sales, how much money they're making per dollar, and such forth. And if you compare them to the other ones, eBay's leading. They're making more profits because of all the ways they found to be able to charge people who are on the site. The worst part of any of this stuff for Investor Days is I can't find a single thing talking about how they're going to bring in new buyers. I don't see anything about that. They talk about operating income flat and all these other aspects. Here's another telltale sign that they're not actually putting out specific type of evidence. If you look at this, everything else on here goes up to 2021. This sheet here drops off at 2019 for some strange reason. So the information isn't as good as you would think because they're not portraying it currently. Most of this is the same. Now, this is advertising revenue doubled in 4 years. So this is promotional listings, the PL, the dark blue color. This is how much they're earning from us year after year by pushing their promoted listings. Other ad revenue for them charging for all sorts of other advertising on the platform and pushing stuff like that. Collecting fees for advertising for other brands on the platform and the whole works. That has kind of bounced back and forth. They've realized that they can get far more from us, apparently from what this says, from other people trying to advertise on the site itself. That's not a good sign either. If the site was so great, they wouldn't have to get all the money from the people already on the site. They'd be able to get the money from people off the site wanting to advertise to the massive amount of people on the site, like Amazon gets. So for me, nothing in here is really good for us from what I see. It's all them going after their own specific interests. Of course, it's a company. That's what they're going to do. But there's no interest in gaining new people on the platform from what I can see, which is a huge, major mistake and why this can't keep going on. If there's any type of bubble that bursts on any of these categories, they're going to be hit hefty by losses. They're losing revenue as well from all the folks that are jumping ship. 10% of buyers, sellers jumping off ship because they're done with eBay. So with that in mind, would eBay remove those extra free listings that they gave us when we signed up for managed payments? They just removed 100,000 free listings from all of Canada. The U.S.-Canada border is the largest one in the globe. They try to keep things fairly close so you don't have any anger because something 100 miles away is paying a different fee than you. It's been that way for quite some time. Hence why I do believe they added the 100,000 free listings to those in Canada. If they take them away from those in Canada, but if those folks living just a mile over the border here in the U.S. are still getting them, that could cause some major issues, some complaints with eBay Canada. So again, they usually keep those very close together. They do test things in other markets before they roll them out here too. So it does highly concern me, their whole strategy of making more money strictly from growing some items that are very expensive, not paying attention to the low value buyers, which we would be low valued sellers, and only worrying about ways to increase sales or profits through the people you already have. They've created a vault now for cards, another way to gain revenue from doing nothing extra. Again, everything they seem to be doing in here adds value to their own pocketbooks. Now, another one here, divestiture has created over $2 billion in value. Now, what this is them selling off StubHub. This is them selling off eBay Classified Group and Gmarket. They sold these combined for $20 billion, just over $20 billion. Now let's look at another figure here. Let's slide down for just a minute here. Now what did they do with the majority of that $20 billion? If you look at this sheet, again, this is information everybody can see. I've got a link down to the page that will get you here. Share repurchases. This is buying back stock. 17 million, over 17 million of that in the last 3 years of those items that they sold was just used to buy back stock to line their own pocketbooks, to artificially increase the share profits because they weren't getting that big gain in revenue. They only reinvested a very small amount of all of what they sold. So they sold value from the company off and basically pocketed in shares, dividends, and buying back their own stock. Now, what happened at the beginning of the year? The stocks went down, so their purchase, the value, that $17.1 billion they reinvested, actually dropped in value. If the stock went down, the amount of shares that they purchased already means that they lost money on that. So they just threw away some of the money. If they can't improve the site, this is going to keep tracking down where they're going to lose more of that investment if the stock prices go down. So if they wanted to sell it off later on, the prices would be lower, so they would be losing money. Now, they're also pushing this eBay is stronger position than pre-pandemic. Well, the pandemic's still technically going on. This is a guidance midpoint, which I am assuming is a fictitious, hopeful number. A lot of the information on here, they've got projections running to 2024. I don't see anything to back those specifics up exactly the way they're stating it. So I'm a little leery again that they're going to have to line their pockets, and they will possibly add on more fees coming in spring. Hopefully that's not the case, but I would honestly look at some of what's going on in the eBay community, such as them dumping the 100 free thousand listings for Canada and what they're stating to their investors on what's going on here. There's a lot of information here, in my opinion, that just doesn't garner well for the rest of us. Like talking about sneakers. Now, some of the money they're getting from selling tennis shoes and sneakers is going to come from the authenticity department that they have, that you're required to send them into. There's fees associated with that, so they're going to be recouping it. So some of this may not necessarily just be a rise in the sales. Some of it, again, may be fees. Whenever they add an authenticity to purses, to cards, to shoes, that's going to come at a cost to somebody, and I guarantee you it's not going to be eBay. So again, if any of these departments crash, shoes or any of these other things here, it's not going to bode well. Trading cards, what they're looking at who's spending the most. That's all they seem to be looking at. They've separated this into enthusiastic buyers driving roughly 71% of gross merchandise volume. So that means if these categories that they are talking about pushing, the purses that are high end, $5,000, $10,000 purses, $10,000 trade cards, comics and all that stuff, if anything happens to that, that's the majority of the items selling on the platform, or at least the majority of the value. It's probably not the majority looking at this of the items, but the majority of the value. And you can see that's all they're worrying about is this big glip right here, which is the value. That's the value. That doesn't mean items sold. The 20% here could be 4 times as many items sold that way as sold this way. If they want this chart to be all the dark colored here, that just means that no small sellers are going to want to be on here, are going to be able to be on here. So again, very, very short-sighted, because anything could happen to any one of these categories at any time because of the economy. It's not a good time to be centering in on high dollar items when things could stretch on for a very long time, with gas prices highest they've been in 40 plus years. Again, all bad signs to me, all bad signs pointing that there could be another increase of some kind or some services removed from the platform. So again, they've got projections. These are just projections. They've already had to alter this first quarter's projections already. They've already downgraded the projections for what we're in right this very second. So I personally would not trust any of their projections going forward to 2024. They were wrong right now. The month that this eBay Investor Day came out, this month, they were off. They were wrong, had to recalculate, and it hurt them, and that's why their stocks dropped. So again, I don't trust any of these numbers. Who knows where they're getting them from? Any single glitch could hurt it, where they would have to raise the fees and again come back after us. Everything I see in here, again, please look through it yourself. All is about how they can get more fees and growth from the folks like us. Not, again, from getting new buyers in. Everything's talking about the buyers who are already on the site. These 19 million supposed magical, enthusiastic buyers that are better and worth more effort than anybody else on the platform. Again, they're leaving behind the little buyer, the buyer who has 20 extra bucks, the buyer who made eBay what they were. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
When entering the world of art, you'd be smart to dress the part. Gentlemen prefer Hanes, with all the ladies draped in crepe. The artist loves the human shape. Gentlemen prefer Hanes. Hanes will make you smooth and silky, shapely, sexy. Wear a pair and you could be captured for posterity. Gentlemen prefer Hanes.